Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, and to those listening at home. Please be seated while Councillor Emma Zhang delivers the blessing. Thank you.
Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to serve our community. Grant us wisdom, humility, and respect as we carry out the responsibilities before us today. We pray for those in our community who are struggling with the rising cost of living. Help us to keep their needs at the front of our decision. As we consider the budget, guide us the discussion so that we may find a right balance between supporting our community and ensuring that important projects are delivered responsibly and on time. May our decision be marked by integrity, compassion, and a commitment to the common good. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Zhang. Before we open the meeting this evening, I just have a small presentation to make. We have with us our Director for Infrastructure, Mr Martin Glover, and this is his last council meeting, whether it be an ordinary council meeting or a special council meeting, as the Director of Infrastructure at the City of Gosnells. So on behalf of councillors and the City of Gosnells and staff, I just want to thank you for all that you've done here in the City of Gosnells, left a lasting legacy, and your replacement, the future Director of Infrastructure, Ms Cherie Edmondson, definitely has large shoes to fill. So thank you so much, Martin. And we have a little thing from the councillors and the staff in the City that you've been eyeing off for quite some time. We really should not insist people leave to get one of those toys. Ian, you could be getting one next week, we'll see. So yes, thank you, Martin, very much for that. So now we'll move on to the business at hand. It is now 7:19 and I declare the meeting open. There are no announcements of visitors. I will read the disclaimer. Members of the public are cautioned against taking any action on council decisions on items in which they may have an interest until such time as they've seen a copy of the minutes of the meeting or have been advised in writing by City staff. And please note that all council meetings are digitally recorded and live streamed on the City's YouTube channel, except for confidential agenda items, during which time the live stream will be temporarily suspended. I also will take this opportunity to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people and pay our respects to their elders, both past and present. Now moving on to a record of attendance. We are all here. So that was... Is there any disclosures of interest, councillors? No disclosures of interest, thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to question time and receiving of public statements. So the first one we have is Mr Brendan Cherry. Thank you, if you could come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Lytton. I'm sure Director Glover will be happy. I've got 4 questions for him tonight. Funny that you go and you get your last questions. Question 1. With the speed limit on Kelvin Road set to drop from 70 to 60 by the middle of this month, was it Council or Main Roads who decided this speed limit needed reducing?
Thank you very much, Director.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Good to see you, Brendan. The City requested consideration of a speed reduction from 70 kilometres to 60 kilometres per hour between just north of Maddington Road to south of White Road, and supported technical information. This reflected the changing road environment, the high number of driveways and intersections, significant heavy vehicle movements and crash patterns along the corridor. A lower speed limit was considered more appropriate for the current operating environment and would provide drivers with more time to react and reduce crash severity.
Thank you, Director Glover. Question 2. When will the lawns on the corner of Town Centre and Murdoch be mowed as the lawn is getting taller from the ground?
Thank you for that question. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The verges along Murdoch Road, Thornley, have been scheduled for mowing within the next 10 business days. Once completed, they will continue to be maintained as part of the City's ongoing program mowing schedule.
Thank you, Director Glover. Question 3. What was the reason Council decided not to pursue a second bridge over the Canning River on Burslem Drive as part of the duplication project?
Thank you, and Mr Glover will respond. Thank you.
Get around, Brendan. The Burslem Drive duplication project was funded through the Metropolitan Regional Road Group Road Improvement Program, which did not provide funding for the bridge duplication or upgrades. As a result, a second bridge over the Canning River was not included within the funded scope of that project. The Burslem Avenue Bridge duplication has, however, been identified as the current second priority bridge project for the city, subject to appropriate grant funding becoming available. The first priority is replacement of the Royal Street Bridge between Kenwick and Thornley for an upgrade to 4 lanes.
And my final
Thank you.
question
Your
for you,
findings
Director
are still
Glover, for
standing.
number 4. Does the city have any plans for more bike paths, principal shared paths to be built to encourage walking and cycling?
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we do. We have our bike plan that has been approved by council, and the completion of the principal shared path from the current section towards Armidale through to Dorothy Street is our priority, and we're hoping to have confirmation of that through the Department of Transport within the next couple of months.
Thank you, Director Glover, for all you've done.
Thank you, Mr Cherry. Now I have Mr Walker. Mr Walker has 10 questions. You can ask for Mr Walker, and if time permits, we can come back to the other ones.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Mayor. Is it accurate that an independent chairperson and deputy chairperson of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee were required to be appointed by July 1st?
Yes, that's accurate.
Who have been appointed as the chairperson and deputy chairperson of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee?
The chairperson is Mr Richard Thomas, and the deputy chairperson is Ms Lisa Harvey.
Thank you. In terms of improvement, what is the role of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee?
Yes, it's in the legislation for that to have the new chairs and deputy chairs on there. You can answer the question if you like, Mr CEO, if you want to put more to that. Thank
I
you.
was just going to say, and its functions laid out in legislation, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's in the law.
Thank you. Are quotes routinely obtained from businesses specialising in events management to run the city's events, such as the Fusion Festival?
I would say yes, they are regularly obtained.
Thank you. That's 4 questions.
Yep, thank you. And next we will have Mr John Murphy from Thornley regarding the Mills Park function room. Thank you. How many questions have you got here?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Right, my first question is in relation to the question that I asked at our previous meeting. With reference to the email I received on the 24th of June 2026, I will reiterate the question that I asked at that council meeting on the 23rd of June 2026. Could you please let me know exactly how many times the function room at Mills Park on a Sunday night was booked out during the last 12 months, and how much money was generated from those nights? I know you'll probably have to take it on notice again.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. We do have to take that one on notice. Thank you. If you want to ask your next question. Thank you.
Right, I'll come back at the next meeting because I'd like the councillors to hear that, as I said at the previous meeting that I was here. Now, the other one is, with the email that I did receive in relation to that last question, please explain to me if the hall at Mills Park was booked out for 442 hours for one period hire and 23 functions, how long did the function last? Also, how much was charged per hour if 442 hours only generated $30,740? Now, I worked it out, that equates to about $6.95 an hour. Now, I was paying $42 up to $50 an hour when I used to have it on Sunday nights. So now that it's only going to $6.95 an hour.
Yeah, there could be some discrepancies there in the fact that yours was commercial and others are not-for-profits, but we will take it on notice and get back to you with the answer on that.
Right, okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Mr Walker, if you'd like to come back with your other 6 questions, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Given that the advertised differential rates equate to a rates increase of 5.5%, and the proposed budget equates to a rates increase of 4%. What assurance do ratepayers have that the rates increase will be no more than 4% if the proposed budget is approved?
Sorry, did you say something, Mr. Seeley? Well, I would imagine that my thought is that if it's approved in the budget as 4%, that's what it will be. It's in writing, it's in the law, so it's done.
Thank you. Is the Mayor prepared to give an assurance that rates will increase by no more than 4% if the proposed budget is approved?
And I think that would be the same response, Mr. Walker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With respect to the additional change rooms at Sutherlands Park proposed by Councillor Dewhurst, what style of construction will they be?
I'm going to say steel and cladding, but I could be wrong. Might be right. Steel and cladding, is it? Framework and cladding? And brick.
So it's brick with tile roof, presumably. Okay.
It's a steel roof.
How many square metres is the floor area of the proposed additional change rooms?
We have to take that one on notice, thank you.
That surprises me. Is it accurate that the estimated cost of $750,000 for the additional change rooms will have to be financed from additional rates income?
At this stage, that would be the case.
Is it accurate that if the additional change rooms are financed from additional rates income, the increase in rates will rise from the budgeted 4% to approximately 5%?
Not necessarily, as it may not be needed in this financial year.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can I just get you to hold? I'm sure we've got some sort of a rough estimate of what that floor area would be for a change room.
Well, I would have thought so, to give them, calculate the $750,000, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, so it should be the same as the ones there, just duplicated next door. We're going to come back to you with that, but we'll let you know later in the meeting. Thank you. Now we move on to public statements, and the first one I have is Mr. David Murphy, and it's on item number 6 on page 146 of the agenda, and it's relating to the Sutherlands Park Reserve C. It's relating to the motion that's being put forward.
Good evening, Mayor Lyons and councillors. Before I begin, I respectfully ask if Councillor Dewhurst's motion regarding Sutherlands Park Pavilion could be brought forward tonight. We have a number of families and volunteers and kids in attendance who have come for this particular item, and we would greatly appreciate if we could hear the outcome before the very end of the meeting. I'm here tonight as a parent. I've got multiple children in the club, in both girls and boys teams. Like every parent sitting on the sidelines every weekend, all I want is my daughter and other kids to have the same opportunities that boys have enjoyed for generations at the club. Girls football isn't a fad anymore, it isn't a novelty, it is here to stay. And every season, more and more girls are signing up because they all love the game. They deserve facilities that reflect that growth in the sport. The motion before you tonight is simple. It isn't asking for something extravagant. It isn't asking for gold-plated facilities. It's asking for 2 additional change rooms so girls don't have to share with boys and have their privacy. As parents, we teach our daughters about privacy, we teach them about dignity, we teach them that they have the right to feel comfortable and safe. Surely a brand new sports pavilion built in 2026 should reflect those same values. What worries me the most is that if we don't do this now, it probably won't happen. We've all seen it before. A building gets finished, everyone says they'll come back and fix it later, and it later never comes. 10 years down the track, everyone wonders why nobody thought about girls' football when the pavilion was built. Currently, in our current pavilions that are due for demolition soon, we only have 2 change rooms. One of those change rooms was built somewhere in the mid-90s from what I could gather, and replaced another previous change room which was converted into storage. And that room has been storage ever since. Well, there is an opportunity tonight. In years to come, when hundreds of young girls are running around Sutherlands Park wearing their club colours with pride, I hope this council can honestly say, we planned for you. Please don't build something that our daughters outgrow before they've even had a chance to use it. Please don't tell the next generation of girls we'll fix it one day later. Please support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Now have Ms Molly Lawless, and it's regarding the same item on number 6 with 146 of the agenda. Oh, I can take the baby if you like.
I like them when they're sleeping. Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Molly. I am a foster and bio mum to 12 children, and I've spent years around local sports. I've watched volunteers give up weekends, I've watched coaches stay back after training, and parents sell raffle tickets and cook barbecues and do whatever it takes to give kids somewhere to belong, because that's what community sport does. It gives children confidence, friends, it gives them a purpose. For some kids, it's the happiest place that they'll be all week. Tonight, there is a decision that will affect these children for decades to come, not just this year or this budget, but for the future and the decades. We're not asking you to redesign the whole pavilion. We're asking that you recognise that girls deserve their own private change rooms, and that is a topic that shouldn't be controversial in 2026. If this was your daughter or granddaughter or someone that you loved, would you honestly tell them that sharing change room facilities with older boys was good enough at a brand new sporting complex? I don't think so. Every election we hear that councillors support women in sport, and media releases talk about inclusion and talks about participation strategies. And tonight isn't another strategy. Tonight is about action. This is the opportunity to turn words into real. And one day a young girl will walk into that pavilion for the first time. She won't know who voted for the motion. She won't know what political debates happened in this chamber. She'll know whether this facility was designed with her in mind. And I hope every one of you give her the answer that she deserves. Please support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now have Mr Walker, if you could come forward with yours, and yours is on the same item, which is on page 6. Thank you.
Yes, I refer to Councillor Dewhurst's proposal for additional change rooms at Sutherlands Park. Let me say from the outset that I agree with Councillor Dewhurst that our sports clubs should have the facilities they truly deserve. But do they need to have them this year? I assert not. In light of the staff comments, I say that Councillor Dewhurst's statement that the change rooms could be financed from Sutherland Park reserves is inaccurate and misleading. According to the staff comments on Councillor Dewhurst's proposal, the cost of additional change rooms of $750,000 would have to be sourced from additional rates income. I understand this will increase the rates from a budgeted increase of 4%, which is in line with the rate of inflation, to an increase of approximately 5%. Given the effects of the cost of living crisis that ratepayers in the city are facing, and the uncertainty regarding future fuel costs because of the situation in the Middle East, I urge you to vote down Councillor Dewhurst's proposal, at least for the short term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Walker. I now have Mr Gavin Pollock. It's on item number 6.2 on page 11, which is the Sutherlands Park. Thank you. I have his words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity, and to Councillor Dewhurst for putting the motion forward today. I'd like to ask you to support that motion, and just on some of the comments that have been spoken about here tonight, and for the councillors that took my calls today, I really appreciate that as well. I've got 2 young girls that play football there. I've played all my junior football at the Gosnells Football Club. I've been in Gosnells for 48 years, born and bred. I've seen many and many a time that this council, not the one sitting here today, but before you, make great promises that we will do things in future. We will expand pavilions, we'll add, and we'll grow, and they've never happened. And I'll give you some great examples. When I was a young footballer playing at the Gosnells Football Club, selling Lamingtons, chocolate Freddos in the day when you used to do it to save money to fund facilities, we were promised that the current change rooms would be extended. Yes, they did. They were great. Thank you very much to the council that day for doing that. They were meant to be twice the size. We'll come back and build them later, but we'll put a wall through the middle. And that's why there's the 2 change rooms they are now. We've got those facilities, great. 20 years ago, I was on the committee down there, and we were promised that there would be new facilities built between A and B Reserve. Those facilities were built. They were temporarily. We used to have that many teams we played on A and B Reserve. The numbers have declined, as in many sporting groups across the council and across the state. Those temporary change rooms are still there today, 20 years on. Now, I don't normally step out and put myself out there on anything to do with anything for council because I know you have the hardest decision in the world to make. And no matter what decision you make tonight, there's going to be people that don't support you and there's going to be people that do. But I'm going to ask for once that can there be a decision made in this chamber tonight that is for the future, not of us here, not me, my children and their friends and their children, because that's where I'm at this stage in my life. I've been through that scenario where my father was there doing stuff at the club and I'm here now with my children and I'm putting forward that I really ask you to look at that and maybe have a look at some other items that are in your capital works projects that could be delayed slightly that are still in planning stages versus a great project you're building up there at Sutherlands Park. And it's a credit to everyone involved. It's a magnificent facility of what it's going to be. But can we please make a decision tonight to build for tomorrow, not now? It may seem a simple element of just 2 change rooms, but it's something that you're not going to come back and have to pay 20, 30, 40%. That is much more than the 5% rate increase you're going to get faced with tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr Pollock. Okay, that brings us to the end of question time and public statement. We'll now move on to the receiving of petitions and presentations. Are there any? Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted, our last council meeting, the OCM, I was chairing that meeting and I just wanted to extend an apology to Director Glover as that was his last OCM and I didn't mention it at the council meeting then and I assumed the Mayor, like she did tonight, was going to mention it, but I just also wanted to recognise that I missed it at the last meeting and I do apologise. So thank you for everything you've done for the city, Martin, and thank you for your support through all the committees as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Any, Councillor Zhang? No? Okay, we'll now move on to the reports and we will bring forward item 6.2, consideration. I should actually... You've got a report? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I must have missed... Did I miss you or...?
No. You're all excitable. I attended the Armidale Gosnells Landcare Group Committee meeting on the 24th of June. Some key updates for our city included the preferred location for the Deep Pools project is now near Ferrers Drive, Gosnells, subject to final approval. The project will help native fish habitat and improve the health of the Canning River. Updates were provided also on the Garden of Hope project, which is flourishing, and the Bush Tucker project, which was a sold-out success, which was very exciting. Dieback treatment kits are currently unavailable following the closures of a previous supplier, with Armidale Gosnells Landcare now seeking an alternative source. During discussions, the committee reflected on several revegetation projects where significant investment had been made, only for many of the plantings to be lost over time due to ongoing maintenance. One site visited recently, just 8 years after handover, had fewer than 10% of its original plants remaining. A lot of this was attributed to overzealous mowing and whippersnipping and to combat weeds and use of pesticides. I suggested that AGLG investigate providing 6 or 12 monthly post-handover maintenance reviews as a fee for service for both councils. Regular reporting would help to identify issues early and protect our environmental assets and maximise the return on millions of dollars invested in revegetation projects. The committee was very supportive of investigating the idea further. Updates on our local Mary Carroll. New large signage was installed following the recent vandalism. However, vandalism unfortunately still continues to be an ongoing issue. Eunice is out of action for a few weeks for family commitments, with staff from AGLG stepping in to provide support in her absence. A big thank you to Talon for helping and to continue this work. And finally, I'd like to congratulate everyone involved with the Mary Carroll Park redevelopment, which was recently named Park of the Year at the 2026 Park and Leisures Australia WA Awards. This prestigious recognition reflects the outstanding collaboration between the city, AGLG staff, volunteers and our community to create a space that's not only environmentally significant but also enjoyed by people of all ages and abilities, and congratulations to all involved. City can be very proud.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Did I miss anyone else? No, we're all good. We'll bring forward item 6.2 for the attendees in the gallery. This is to vote on the consideration of the notice. So what will happen is we will have a mover to move the motion, and then we need a seconder, and this is just to vote to consider the item. So can I get a mover for this? Councillor Lloyd, you're happy to move this, and Councillor Dalton to second this. And councillors, if we have a vote by a show of hands, if you want to hear the motion. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Councillor Dewhurst, you can now move your motion.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. I've just had a bit of a problem there. I'll just read it. The motion is that council amends the city budget by allocating an additional $750,000 to expand the pavilion at Sutherlands Park Reserves B and C, so that it incorporates a second set of change rooms on the Reserve C side, with the money to be drawn from the Sutherlands Park Master Plan Reserve. The new pavilion at Sutherlands Park Reserves B and C is set to be a flagship facility by the city, and it's critical that all users and groups are supportive by its design. There is no point in building a facility if key user groups are unhappy with its design prior to opening. I have been in contact with representatives from the Gosnells Junior Football Club who've made it very clear that proposal facilities as currently designed does not meet expectations. I support this view and believe that additional change rooms are necessary for Reserve C to ensure the new pavilion is built to accommodate ever-growing needs. This is preferable to building a facility which will need to be expanded in the future, a requirement which will come at additional costs and lose the benefits of economical scale in construction and cause user disruption in the future. Now is the time to support our sports clubs and build a facility on Reserve C that they truly deserve. The cost of the incorporating additional change rooms could be funded from the Sutherlands Park Master Plan, which will have a balance of $8.4 million at the end of 26-27. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Seconder? Sorry, you're seeking a seconder?
Yes, please. Seconder.
Seconder, Councillor Singh to second that. Thank you. You may speak to your item.
Okay, Madam Mayor, this is something that's been I've been pushing for a while, and I've been listening to different comments about everything, such as girls may be able to get changed in umpires' rooms and or storage rooms and stuff like that. I mean, this is not what actually we want to occur in our girls' change rooms. The fact is, you've got girls and boys umpires. They will need their own rooms. Basically, we need to cater. All sports grounds that are built today are built for boys and girls, men and women. And the fact is that we have got a flagship facility up there, yet we are going to cut out something that's very important to me. And what is important to me as a father of 3 daughters who will never ever play footy there because they're too old, is to get the safety of girls. What's to stop when girls are getting changed? And it does happen when my daughter did play football for another league. And occasionally the boys unintentionally would walk into as the girls were getting changed. Girls deserve better. Girls deserve to be safe. I understand there's going to be arguments that, we need to, allocate money, but there is money there. There's money in the in our master plan. There's also money in Splash as well. But I mean, I'm not saying that we use that. I'm not saying that we go from the money for this financial year against our rates. What I'm saying is it can be considered, and in our next budget, which was when we built. And basically, the last comment I want to leave here is, what is the price we put on for the safety and integrity of our girls in our city and those who are visiting our city? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Councillor Singh, as a seconder, would you like to speak to this item? Would anybody else like to speak to this item? Councillor Islam, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask a question, if you don't mind?
Yes, of course.
Question is, in the motion, Councillor Dewhurst said the cost of additional change room can be funded from the rate reserve. But in the report further down on third page, it says the monies will ultimately come from rate revenue. Just a bit confused. Can I just get clarity on this, please?
I think he's saying it can be funded from the Sutherlands Park Master Plan Implementation Reserve, but I will get the CEO to respond on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the Sutherlands Park Reserve is going to have an amount in it which is enough to cover these change rooms. The problem for the city is that to build the whole of the Sutherlands Park development that's planned, it's going to cost more money than's in that reserve. So yes, there is money in the reserve at the moment that could be used for it, but it's either going to mean cutting out other things that council committed to or increasing the funding for the area. So ultimately, it will come at an additional cost, or other things are going to have to be cut.
Did you have something further, Councillor Slam? Otherwise, I'll go to Councillor Lloyd.
If I can, thank you.
Councillor Lloyd?
I want to begin by saying that I'm a strong supporter of women and girls having access to their own separate and safe spaces, especially with women's sports growing in our city over the past few years. The concern for me here with this item tonight is that we're having this presented to us as a motion at a special council meeting. This is the first time that I've been made aware by members of the community that this was a concern to them. I don't doubt the need, but I question the timing of this item. With the planned expansion of the fields, it will likely attract more sports clubs that will need access to female-only spaces. If we're going to have this conversation, it needs to be now rather than later. I believe this needs to go out imminently to a tender, so I would be requesting that this be brought to an urgent workshop for consideration, but I believe as I moved it, I can't put a motion. Thank you.
Did she move it?
She moved the. She didn't move this.
You didn't move this. No,
She
Councillor.
moved to bring it, to allow it to be
You moved
dealt
to allow
with.
it. Yes.
Yep.
Are you wanting to move to defer it to a workshop?
So that's a procedural motion.
You could do a procedural motion, but she's already spoken to
Yes,
it, hasn't
please.
she?
Well, no,
Oh.
so
She just spoke to it then.
well,
Or someone else can.
Yeah, you could add it on, you can add it on.
Can,
Go on.
speaking,
Yeah.
you can put a procedural motion.
You want to put a procedural motion up? Thank you. Remember, there's no debate on procedural motions.
Yes, then I'd like to ask for a procedural motion to defer the item to an urgent workshop for consideration, please.
Thank you. And you seeking a seconder?
Seeking a seconder.
Councillor Sajjad to second that. Councillors, if you would like, or you can actually speak to this if you want.
That's what I was going to say. So, as just prefaced before. Thank you.
Thank you. And councillors, if you would cast your vote on moving a procedural motion to defer. By show of hands, if you're in support. So that procedural motion is lost, Councillor Lloyd. Moving on, I think I had Councillor Betts, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure we all would like to drive a Rolls Royce or a really fancy car rather than perhaps a little Getz. But the reality is that we all have limited funds, and to have an extra change room could be a positive thing. But I do take exception to the perception that's being portrayed that not building the extra change room makes it unsafe for girls. That is actually not true, as my understanding, because a girls' team, if girls' teams are playing or female teams are playing, they have total access to that change room. There's no boys there. That's it. So if there is another a male team playing after them, to stop males walking in, all it would need is a little sign at the front where the entrance is to say, no entry, girls are in here at the moment, or whatever, some kind of signage is all that's needed, and that would be an awful lot cheaper than $750,000 for an extra change room. The stakeholder engagement, as far as I'm aware, with the different clubs, there was extensive discussions, and the fact is there is limited funds available for the Sutherland Park redevelopment, so we can't have everything. And my understanding was that the sports clubs agreed that the arrangement of the change rooms as is in the plan was acceptable to them. Now, it may not be what some people really would love to have, I accept that, but I think that to increase, effectively, we would need to increase the rates by 1% if we were to proceed with this additional change room. And I think that's really not, there's so many other things that we could be spending $750,000 on, which would be perhaps higher on our priority list than that particular facility. So given that there's been stakeholder engagement with the clubs, that there was acceptance of the plan as it's been presented, as it's been put to us, and the fact that there is not a safety issue for girls, I'm absolutely committed to making sure that women or girls have safe spaces. And even though I know the Human Rights Commissioner in the Giggle versus Tickle case said she couldn't figure out, doesn't know what a female is. It's not female sexuality is not a biological concept. Don't ask me where she went to school, but anyway. The reality is that the girls can have their change rooms. If the younger teams, where they have up to grade 7 apparently, they do have mixed teams, but those kids, they come in their uniform and they play their game and they go home in their uniform. They rarely actually use the change room. So this perceived or supposed need, I just don't believe is justified, and I really can't support increasing rates by 1% just so that there can be a luxury of a separate change room will ever only be used by girls and not a change room that can be used by men and the women. So I don't support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Is there anyone speaking in support of the motion? Councillor Dalton, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Betts, because you just made my decision for me. I think listening to the public gallery and my entire life, I have listened to why women don't deserve to be put first. And, you know, I agree with the public statement. I don't agree with the spend. I'm more than happy to say we can't afford this. But on the grounds that women, for as long as I have been alive and a lot longer, but my future daughters' sporting careers, whatever that might be, deserve to actually be said that we're prepared to spend money on you. If it costs us a little bit more, we should be spending money on you, because women do deserve their own change rooms and they do deserve to be thought of for the future and for having their own ability to, whether it's safe or just the dignity to have their own bathroom with a sign on that says for women. They deserve it. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Dalton. Speaking against the motion. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've listened to the debate so far, and I've listened to the comments in public gallery, and for me, this is a really tough decision because it's about balancing, and it's balancing things for our community, which are people, which are families, which are children. And so when it's a matter of balancing the different needs, I don't think it can be simply put as this money should be spent to represent women are worthy. I think we know women in sport are worthy of change rooms. I don't think there's anyone who would debate that's not the case. And I think Councillor Betts's comments may have been taken out of context, or maybe some words used loosely, which maybe triggered a different response to what the issue here is. What the issue that we're coming up with now is we have change rooms. Now, on the plans, they're drawn as unisex, but those change rooms are not ever intended to be unisex, as boys and girls in those change rooms together. I think what is completely under the club's control is rostering those change rooms and rostering them in a way that, yes, when there are girls out on the oval, those change rooms are for girls. That is their space. That's their safe space. When there's boys out on the ovals, that is their change rooms. That's their safe space. And I think that is something that just because a sign on a door or putting up a temporary measure doesn't change whether it's safe or not safe. I think it's the language around it and what the club actually does which will make it safe or not safe. If the club chooses to allow it to be mixed, well then they're choosing to allow it to be mixed, which I don't think would be the case. But if they want it to be girls' change rooms, they can have it as girls' change rooms. And I think the questions that was brought up, Councillor Dewhurst, in the briefing I asked about umpire change rooms. So my experience with junior sport is generally the umpires are parents, and that's rostered through. So the parents are very unlikely to be utilising those umpire change rooms. So if there was ever that scenario where there was a clash of boys and girls and there wasn't enough change rooms across the facilities, that umpire change rooms could be used in the interim. It wasn't a case of girls don't deserve it, so let's just shove them in an umpire's room. That's completely not what was intended. So I think when we're looking at things across the city, we're looking bigger picture. It's not about whether the Gosnells Junior Football Club deserves it. It's not whether the girls there deserve it or the boys, because to be quite frank, the boys deserve change rooms just as much as girls deserve change rooms. So I don't think it's a gender issue, and it's not an issue of blurring what the gender realms are, whether you're boy or girl, how fluid that is. That's not our discussion. But what it is we have a big city, a growing city. We have ageing infrastructure. What actually brings the sports and the community together are the ovals. It's the actual places where they're playing, not the change rooms. And while it's disappointing to not have the facility and the change rooms and the brand new ovals all at the same time, sometimes that's just not realistic. And so when we're looking across all of our infrastructure, we are weighing up things like Leisure World. So Leisure World, at the moment, we went into it there. Education department requires separate change rooms. We don't have that because of the age of our facilities. It's causing children to go back on the school buses wet, which is eating into their education time. So when we're making these decisions, it's not just about what does the Gosnells Junior Football Club need, it's what does our entire city need. And so when we put one club before another club or another facility, something has to give, or our ratepayers have to pay through a rate increase. So based on that, I think this is completely up to the club to how they'd like to manage this facility, whether they can manage it as boys, how they do their rosters, which oval, whether they use oval Pavilion A if they need to. But tonight I can't support this additional cost because we just don't have it. We don't have it in the reserve. We're already like $7.5 million shortfall on this project before we're even starting. And with the cost of fuel and construction, that's probably likely to grow. So at this point of time, I don't think it would be responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Anyone speaking for the motion? Councillor Mason, thank you.
So I've been mulling over this ever since the agenda's come out, weighing up pros and cons. Now, Council has already made a significant investment in Sutherlands Park, recognising its importance as one of the city's premier sporting facilities. So when we make investments of this scale, I believe it's important that we not only consider the needs of today, but also plan for what our community will require in the years ahead. If there is a genuine need for additional change rooms, facilities to properly service our clubs, there is a strong argument for incorporating them into the project now rather than attempting to retrofit them in the future. Anyone involved in construction understands that the changes after a facility has been completed is almost more expensive, more disruptive, and it can limit the quality of the final outcome. One aspect I believe deserves particular consideration is the provision of a dedicated female change room. Sport is continuing to grow, and participation by women and girls is increasing across a range of traditionally male-dominated sports, including football, cricket, and ice hockey. Now, I mentioned ice hockey, it's got nothing to do with Sutherlands, but I mentioned ice hockey, speaking from my own personal experience, as my wife plays ice hockey in a mixed team. She plays with these big burly men, very smelly after the game, and for those who have met my wife, she's a very short, petite woman, and she plays that game. Now, the reason why I speak about that is because they don't have male-female change rooms. They have team change rooms. Now, would she like a female change room? Maybe, maybe not. But what the difference between what we have here is that she is an adult, and adults we can often adapt to become more comfortable in those arrangements. But when we're considering young people participating in sport, I believe we should take that a more conservative and proactive approach. Young people deserve facilities that provide privacy, dignity, and a sense of belonging. If you want to encourage greater participation by women and girls, then providing appropriate facilities is an important part of creating that inclusive sporting environment. I also think it's important to consider that the growth that the city is occurring increased development, additional housing growth comes with that, more families, more residents, and chances are they will have kids, chances are they want to play sport, chances are they may want to do that. So therefore, there is a potential demand for the development of this change room now versus later. It's far more cost-effective and practical to design facilities that meet future needs rather than having to return years to come up to upgrade, which typically cost more. Of course, we have a responsibility to spend public money wisely, and I expect officers to continue ensuring the project is delivered efficiently and provides value for money. However, we also have a responsibility to deliver facilities that are fit for purpose and capable of supporting our growing sporting community for many years to come. Good planning isn't about looking beyond today's budget and considering the cost and benefits over the life of the asset. If this investment avoids a much more expensive upgrade in the future, supporting increased participation and facilities that better serve our clubs and community, then I believe it's a sensible and responsible decision. I had the privilege of attending an urban growth forum where our mayor spoke about social cohesion, and there was the fact that there was a gentleman that also spoke about demographics and how our population is growing. People don't want to move into an area and then have to wait and wait and wait for community infrastructure. They want community infrastructure there ready to go. So for those reasons, and at this point in time, I will be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Anyone speaking against the motion? Thank you, Councillor Islam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, look, I want to thank Councillor Juhas for the motion and support the intent of this motion. As a father of 3 young daughters, I would also like to see separate change rooms myself for my young kids, not only for my young kids, actually for all the kids around. It's also an important issue for me personally. However, as it stands, I cannot support this motion because we are asking for potential rate increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Anyone speaking for the motion? Anyone else speaking against the motion? I'll just say a few words. I want to thank the community for coming out. I do understand your passion. I do want to thank the young girl, if she's in the audience, that sent me a text message about half an hour ago. There she is. Thank you very much for that. Future leader there. There are 4 change rooms there, so I'm really struggling, and I know that the club will have different ideas on that, but I'm just really struggling as to why the setting of the games can't be managed around 4 change rooms. And there's also extra toilets on the end as well. I know it's not a change room, but there are extra, I think there's 4 on each end. So that's an extra 8 spaces for people to get changed in if need be as well. And I just want to reiterate some of the things that the Deputy Mayor said, is that every week we are asked by residents and clubs in our community for better facilities, for more facilities. You know, I know that some of you go to the Gosnells Football Club, which is a very old facility. We did put female toilets in there at a significant cost to the city, and they didn't use them. So, and the same with the Kenwick Football Club. They were not using the female change rooms either, so it got converted to part of the library. So I think that, like, 4 change rooms, I think I couldn't see why you couldn't put the boys on one side and the girls on the other if you had to. And I did have a conversation with Director Glover earlier, and he did tell me, and he will correct me if I'm wrong, but he did say that if you are booking the ovals, and that would only include 1 change rooms, if the other chains were available, you could book that as well. So if you have some forward thinking on where you're setting your games for, I think you'll be able to work around it. I'm also under the impression that some of the girls play on a Friday night, so I think that, you know, the city's agreed to put the track work in for the lighting, and we will be looking for funding to get those lightings up so that you can play on a different night as well. So I would also like to let you know that there are more children registered to play basketball in the city of Gosnells than any other city in the southeast corridor, and we do not have a basketball facility for them. So there are a lot of demands on where this money goes, and it only goes so far. So at this moment, I am not supporting Councillor Dewhurst's motion, although I do thank him for bringing it forward and advocating for the community in the way that he has. Thank you. Anybody else before I go to Councillor Dewhurst to close? Councillor Dewhurst, if you'd like to close, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I can hear everyone's saying. I can certainly appreciate the concerns in regards to managing our money wisely, but if you want to manage money wisely, you spend $750 now, then probably in 5 or 10 years, if it gets up at all, spending $1.4 million. But then again, we won't be on council, probably. Some of us won't be on council. It won't be our problem. But I just want to make some, I've written down some of the comments here. For instance, you know, Councillor Bett spoke about, you know, they're wanting a Rolls-Royce facility there. It's not Rolls-Royce, trust me. I mean, if it was Rolls-Royce, we put another $10 million into it. All they're asking for is to able to keep and make sure the girls are actually feeling safe and are safe. Councillors, there was ample opportunity for all of you to attend one of those meetings, stakeholder meetings. I know the Mayor went, but comments such as, you know, for instance, there's 4 change rooms there and we don't know why they don't just use them. Well, the fact is, the Sutherlands Oval is a very busy oval, and these guys play and girls play at peak times when there's other sport facilities there. So that's the main reason why it's not there. Another thing is they could put a sign up on the door of the change room. I mean, that'd be nice, but who reads signs in our city? I mean, we have a lot of signs up there that don't get read, so it's not really there. Then we heard about umpires, parents umpire the games. Well, you know, just a bit of education here. Actually, the WA football provides the umpires, not the clubs, and these are predominantly teenager and young people in their 20s, boys and girls, who currently have to get changed in the same rooms together. Comments such as, you know, why don't you get changed in the toilets? I mean, yeah, come to the city of Gosnells and get changed in the toilets. And what a great look, guys. Well, we have an opportunity here to do the right thing. We have visiting clubs coming here, you know, who could also use those facilities as well. What other comments I've got down here? And this is not about putting this club. I think we lost focus here. It's not about just putting this club in front of the other clubs around the city of Gosnells. The fact is, we are building this facility now, and we can save money now by building that facility for the $750 instead of the $1.4 at a later time. You know, and you know, if another club come to us and one of these facilities, well, you know, I'd probably be talking about finances as well. But the fact is, we have the opportune time now to actually build this. You know, it breaks my heart, because it's we've all had opportunities to speak to the clubs. We've all had opportunities to ask the questions. I've been banging on about this for months and months and months now. So we could have had great dialogue through there. But then I'll take my hat off that side, and I can see what you're saying in regards to there's a lot of priorities around our city, but I want the girls in our community and those who are visiting our community, I want them to know that we'll invest in you for the future. I want them to know that we value them. And I think this is what it's about. It's about a city standing up and saying, we are also going to invest in the girls in our community. And that's all we're asking. And like I said, I've got no vested perspective in this, because my daughters won't play footy there. They're too old. But some of your daughters just may. So I just ask you to just to consider that. I fully appreciate what you've been saying about the cost, but guys, we're building this facility already. Let's value what these people have come in. I don't know how many people are in the gallery. I can't see, but you need to value people, what they've come in and expressed. And I got the text from that young lady this evening as well, and and thanking me for bringing this up because she thinks it's very important. So that's all I ask you, is to support our community, support our club, support visiting clubs, and value the young girls in our community who want to come to do sports and do it safely and equitably. So I don't think anyone would build sporting facilities now without catering for women, and for girls. So anyway, that's all for me, Madam Mayor. So I just hope we or support the motion. Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody for their comments this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Councillors, I ask you to show of hands if you're supporting the motion. Thank you. There are 6 in support of your motion, Councillor Dewhurst. And those against? So that would be 2, 4, 6, 7 against. So your motion has been lost, Councillor Dewhurst.
Again, thank you very much for everybody's comments, and I wish the clubs the best for they do, and thank you very much for the councillors to make comment, though it's very disappointing.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much to the people from the club in the gallery. The motion has been lost, so the decision is not to support the extra change room. Thank you very much for coming along. You are welcome to leave, or you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. It's up to you. Thank you. We now move on to the adoption of the 26-27 budget, which is item 6.1 on the agenda. And as I am the Mayor, I will move this item. Thank you, councillors. And can I get a seconder, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Realised I jumped in there. Look, I have got plenty of things that I wrote down to talk about all the good things that we'll be doing in the city, but I do note that there were plenty that we couldn't do as well. And I do want to thank the staff for all the hard work, and also for all the hard work they put into delivering the budget and for ensuring that we can still deliver the same level of service for a lower interest rate than we actually proposed to go out with. I want to thank all the councillors for all their questions and for all their input into this budget, and also for the feedback you provided throughout how long have we been doing this budget? For about 5 months, the last 5 months of doing workshops and looking at budgets. So yes, I just wanted to thank the staff and the councillors, and I will be supporting the increase of the 4%, which is what is on this item. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to this item? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also would like to thank the staff for preparing this budget and answering the numerous never-ending questions and running through the different scenarios and different options. I think rate rise is never something we do lightly. It's something that takes a lot of thought, a lot of processing, and a lot of consideration about what we could do differently, and what do we do well, and whether we should continue doing everything we have done in a prior year. So I think this budget, where we weren't sure where we would end up with rate rise, the actual percentage, it's actually come in at the lowest of what we thought it would be at the 4%, which is fantastic for our local households and residents and businesses, because people are really struggling. But at the same time, I do acknowledge costs for local government don't match CPI increases. So there may be further tough decisions during the financial year where we have to reconsider projects, reconsider some of the services, what we can tweak to actually ensure that we're able to deliver everything we intend to deliver. And if economic conditions aren't favourable, then it may be the case that something is delayed until there are better economic conditions. So I think with this budget, there were questions over whether there would be, if this was adopted, would this actually be the final one? So for the way the budget works is it is the 4%, that's what council's adopting, and then going forward, if we need to juggle projects, there is no access to any more money. It is what it is. So there may be tough decisions coming, but I think underlying it all is an intent of council to continue to support our community and not disrupt the lives of our residents if there are any adjustments needed during this financial year as a result of any shortfall in funding. So I will be supporting this and just, thank you to the staff and all the councillors for everything that's gone into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson, Deputy Mayor. That's me. Would anybody else like to speak to this item? Councillor Sajjad, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to speak in support of the budget 4% increase. I think 4% is just a bare minimum as per our own policy. Like a CPI linked base. We were, as we know, as Deputy Mayor said, that we were working towards 5.5, but it landed at 4%, which is bare minimum. And the capital work projects which are planned for this year is 53 million. So just so that you know, it's only 17% which will be coming out of the ratepayers. The rest funds will be sourced from other means. So not putting too much pressure on the people, so we understand the inflation, cost of living, all the submissions that people have presented. These decisions are not made very easily, but 4% is a bare minimum. So I do support that one.
Thank you, Councillor Sajjad. Anybody else like to speak to this item? Councillor Islam, thank you. And then Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, actually, I have an amendment. I, Councillor Saiful Islam, propose the following, that the staff recommendation be amended by the addition of the following parts. So as you can see on the screen, so I don't want to read this out all. You can see all this. I guess there is a potential for savings of about $150,000 for the following reasons. Do I get it?
Yes, carry on, sorry.
Yeah, okay. The budget proposed a 4% increase in rates, which would make the city's increase one of the lowest in all metropolitan council in WA. While it's pleasing that the rate increase has been limited to match the CPI, the council should not be complacent and should continue to look for savings to reduce or remove unnecessary expenditure. The items listed in my motion will have a very negligible impact on our community, yet will save about $150,000 that could be transferred to our reserves to fund future capital projects or save for rainy days. There are many more savings that council could consider which would require more detailed analysis. I intend to bring a motion on 28th of July council meeting to list some of the expenditures for review. I encourage the council and the executive team to continue to look for opportunities to reduce expenditure or to generate revenue from alternative sources to keep the downward pressure on the rates.
And you're seeking a seconder?
Please.
Councillor Singh is happy to second your motion if you'd like to speak to it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, look, again, I would like to acknowledge the work that CEO and the staff did for the preparation of this budget. A 4% increase in line with CPI is one of the lowest, as I said, and it's a positive outcome. However, our role as a council is not only simply the accepting the budget as presented. our role is to carefully review every areas of expenditure and ask whether every dollar is necessary and whether there are opportunities to do more efficiently. The amendment identifies around $150,000 in savings. These savings have been chosen because they will have a very small impact on the community while helping the strengthen the city's long-term financial position. Importantly, this amendment does not remove essential services. It does not reduce the community safety, maintenance, parks, roads, or core services that we offer or the residents rely on every day. Instead, it asks us to prioritize spending and ensure ratepayers receive the value for money. A couple of these spending, particularly the first one, members of the committee for Perth, we spent $7,000. I have not seen any benefit. When I actually asked the staff, even the staff have not seen any benefit. So therefore, if there is no benefit to the staff, to the city, we should be getting rid of this spending. And similarly, the second one as well, participation in LGPO's Data Drives Decisions project. From the research and from the conversation with the staff and also with the ratepayers, I have not seen any benefits at all to our ratepayers. So therefore, some of the other spending as well, surely we can cut it, like annual civic dinner. I guess in a time where everyone is doing tough, we can potentially, get rid of that spending as well. I guess this $150,000 saved can instead be transferred to reserve to help future fund capital projects, reducing pressure on future budgets and helping keep future rate increase as low as possible. So this is not about criticizing the budget, it's about fulfilling our responsibility as an elected member to exercise financial insights and make prudent decisions on behalf of the residents. I respectfully ask my fellow councillors to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillor Singh is the second. Would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Sislak, thank you.
I just have a question. The community grants that Councillor Islam is referring to, is that when community groups, clubs and individuals ask the city for funding? Is that what he's referring to?
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lloyd.
I've got another question too. I thought we talked about these first two at a workshop. Can I just ask for clarification? This membership for Committee of Perth, I think, and the LG Data Drives decision. I'm sure I remember us talking about those and we were considering potentially cutting them. There's some of these on here I don't agree with, but others, those are two that I do.
Thank
so
you
I just wanted to ask some clarification.
I don't recall that being discussed at a workshop, but maybe the CEO could also clarify what benefit they get. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, they were presented as options that weren't obviously, or they're discretionary items that council can make a decision on. And so I presented them because they come out of effectively my budget. Committee for Perth's an interesting one. It's been probably the most influential advocacy body around Perth for the last 15 years. And so we have sort of tried to tap into that to get our advocacy voice heard a little bit. Have we been as successful as we could be? Probably not. But it has been a very influential advocacy body. The Data Drives Decisions project has principally been to try and help local governments compare our performance against others. We used to be part of a PricewaterhouseCoopers arrangement, which cost us $25,000, which for me was too much. So I got a few local governments in Western Australia to do our own one, which has brought the price down by $10,000. We certainly don't have to compare our performance. It just provides me with less information that I can show you as to how we're going against others. So it's clearly discretionary.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Lloyd? Thank you. Would anybody like to speak? Thank you, Councillor Mason. I was going to say in support of the motion, the amendment.
I've got a question.
You've got a question or any questions? Thank you.
It will be to the CEO in relation to the membership. Does the CEO believe that we have got or will get at least $7,000 worth of benefit for this item of this membership?
Thank you for your question, Mr. CEO. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, it's very hard to say. When you're involved in advocacy, you can spend an awful lot of money, as we effectively did with Splash, and not get very little, and it's hard to know when you do get traction. So they do put on a range of functions, which particularly I've been to, where I've listened to politicians, had a chance to talk to them over the years. The mayor has been to, I think, a couple, but certainly not many. So look, the last conversation I had at one of their functions was a Christmas function where I had a long chat with the head of the Water Corporation about problems with reducing water pressures in Perth. Does that, and how we were suffering from that, would I have had that conversation? Otherwise, probably not. Will that lead to anything? Who knows? Look, it's discretionary, but they have been an influential body. So,
anybody wanting to speak in support of the motion? Anybody wanting to the amendment, I should say? You've got a question, or you? Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got a question. I was just wondering whether you, Madam Mayor, or anyone else through you, if the Australia Day event was reduced by 10,000, what would that look like? What is the actual budget that's in there at the moment? Or what would a $10,000 reduction actually mean?
Question, and Mr. Jansen is the Community Engagement Acting Director at the moment, as well as it's in his department, so he may well very, very aware.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The proposed budget for the 26-27 Australia Day is $37,964. The reduction of that budget would affect infrastructure, hire equipment, entertainment, that kind of stuff. It is important to remember as well that event is supported by Auspire, and a condition of the sponsorship, the grant, totalling $13,000 for 26-27, is that the city continues to spend more year on year. So if we were to reduce the budget by 10,000, we would lose the 13.
Thank you. Anybody wanting to speak? You got another question? Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Can I also check contribution to Neighbourhood Watch, to reduce that by 2,000? How much would that leave in the budget if we did reduce it?
I think they currently get 5,000, so they'd have 3,000. Would that be right? Another question? Anyone else have any other questions, or if anyone wants to speak in support of the motion? I'll get Councillor Betts' question first. Do you have a question? Thank you.
Please, yeah. I guess what I wanted to ask is one of these items, there's a community grants reduced by $40,000. Can I ask a question? In this financial year, how much last financial year, how much actually we spent on community grants? How much actually we budgeted for, and how much we actually spent?
I wonder, do you have that information? Yes, thank you. You have got that. Thank you, Mr. Bradbrook, who's the Director of Business Services. He looks after all the money.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So in the 2025-26 financial year, there's a budget of $160,000 for the community grants program. We've actually spent about 90, just a little bit under 90,000 of that program in that year.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep up here. Is there more questions, or have we got some debate happening? Councillor Lloyd, you got a question or debate?
Yeah, question.
Thank you.
How do we deal with this then if there's some we may support and some we don't? So what's the situation?
That's what you'll have to decide at the end of it.
Okay.
You'd have to move an amendment to the amendment if you didn't like what was in the amendment. Councillor Betts, I'm going to let you speak against the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I really appreciate the sentiment of trying to keep an eye on costs and cutting unnecessary costs. I think that's very commendable. But I really think these things should have come up in the discussions about the budget beforehand. Now we're going to try and move amendments to what have you, that gets very complicated. And I think things like the Australia Day event, for people who are doing it tough, Australia Day event is one of the things that they can go to. So same with community grants. Community grants are there for the community groups to do things where they can tap into funding. And the fact that we did budget 160,000, only spent 90,000, means that in reality, if that were to repeat itself this time, the fact we've reduced about 40,000 actually not going to make any difference at all to the final outcome of the budget. Similarly, the concert series, they're things that people who are doing it tough, they're free things they can go to. So I see those things as useful things, even though I'm not a concert goer to those things. But I just don't believe that tinkering with petty cash at this point is really helpful for the whole budgeting process. I think those things should be dealt with in the lead up to the budget. We give our input, and the staff do take on board what, if there's sort of consensus around the table, what should be cut. They do take that on board. So I don't support the amendment, and so even things like the annual civic dinner. What sort of value do you put on the interaction we have with our members of parliament that we try and lobby for funding for sports grants and all sorts of other capital works grants? It's very difficult to put an actual dollar value on that. But my experience is in local government and state government, and even trying to get funds from the federal government, it's personal relationships that you build that often oil the wheels of being able to access funding. So I don't support the amendment. I really think that in future, if any of us want a particular item cut out, let's talk about it in the lead up to the budget, not on budget night. Thank you.
Is anybody speaking in support of the motion? Councillor Dewhurst, are you speaking in support?
No.
Anyone speaking in support of the motion? Otherwise, I'll go to Councillor Dewhurst. You're speaking against? Or you got a question? Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst.
Yeah, look, I'm speaking against it, against the motion, because it's very late. It all also comes down to unintended consequences. We make these little cuts. We don't know what the consequences are. The staff come to us with a budget. We've discussed it. We debated it in workshops, and we've realistically agreed, on this what it's going to be. I'd like to remind council the unintended consequences. I remember then there was one of Director Glover's team brought a tender to us, and we decided not to go with their recommendation and made our own recommendation. And as a result of that, it cost us staff time and cost us a lot more money because we went for the cheaper option. We didn't listen to the staff. That was an unintended consequence, even though I liked the idea of going for the cheaper tender at the time. But look, I think this is too late. And now it's too little, too late. I mean, if you're going to try and save money, save $1, $2, $3, $4 million, if that's what you want to do. But to come in this late, I think it could have consequences that we won't align to what our staff can do, and also maybe some agreements that we have with outside funders as well. So I'd ask you not to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Dewhurst. Anyone wanting to speak in support of the amendment? I'm going to be speaking against the amendment as well. I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. This is not even about reducing the rates for people. It's about keeping the money for items where they're going to be not able to attend them and putting it into a coffer for later on, which I just do not agree with. I would also say that, as Councillor Betts has said, is many of those items, which I'm seeing it on my screen here, I'm not looking away from you, so I can see the ones, is all the events for the community. The community do really rely on them, and people really do enjoy the events and the engagement that the community, that they're able to have in the City of Gosnells, as well as the grants. Okay, I'm surprised that we didn't spend more than that with the grants. It's there for people to use, and I would hope that they do continue to use it as what it's intended for. I think with regards to the memberships of the two external, what are they? Corporations, not-for-profits, advocacy groups, whatever. Just because that money is put in the budget for those two particular items, nothing to say that you couldn't bring something back again after we've had a bit more conversation on what they actually do to have them eliminated. But as this amendment stands, I won't be supporting it. Thank you. I think I had the Deputy Mayor next, and then Councillor Sajjad. Did you? Thank you.
I just had a question around the LG Pro's data drives decision. With that 15,000, is that an ongoing annual cost, or is there an option to like pause 1 year and then rejoin?
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
It is ongoing, and we could pause or we could pull out altogether.
Thank you. Councillor Sajjad.
So, yeah, I'll be speaking against this motion. So I believe, as other councillor says, like Peter Roberts and Glenn, that we can't just keep making cuttings. I was looking at the total budget, the capital and operational budget is $150 million. So these are the savings of 150,000. I understand every dollar matters, but we can't keep collecting money from the ratepayers and not giving anything back to the community. Most of the things are, as you mentioned, Madam Mayor, that to put the people together, to give back to the community. So yeah, there's a bit of a relationship between the council and the community. So most of these costs are good to keep the community and the council together. So I will be going against that. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Any further debate on the amendment? No, I'll let Councillor Islam close. You're happy to close? Councillors, if you'd raise your hand if you're supporting the amendment. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Islam. And those against? Thank you. Your amendment has been lost, Councillor Islam. Okay, we move on to the budget, and I do believe, Councillor Mason, you were next to speak on the budget. Thank you. How good's that for my memory?
That is absolutely correct. Spot on. So I'm going to be speaking in favour of the staff recommendation. Like many people in our community, I don't like a rate increase. No one does. I know households across the city are continuing to deal with the cost of living pressures. Families are paying more for groceries, electricity, insurance, and everything else. The last thing they want is another bill going up. But it's just a simple fact that the cost of a service provided today inevitably costs more tomorrow. As elected members, we have the responsibility to ensure the city can continue to deliver the services and infrastructure our community relies on and depends on and has come to expect from us. While no increase is ideal, I acknowledge that the staff have worked to keep the revenue increase to 4%, which is significantly better than the advertised rate of 5.5%. This budget also delivers significant investment back into our community through roads, parks, supporting facilities, community infrastructure and other essential services that residents rightly expect from the local government, as well as those discretionary services which we're not required to, but they come to expect it. Once we pick it up as local government, it's very hard to get rid of. Budgets are about balancing competing priorities. We have all got projects we'd like to see funded, costs we'd like to avoid, but ultimately this budget represents a reasonable compromise between maintaining services, investing in our growing community, and recognising the financial pressures facing ratepayers. And for those reasons, while I do not welcome and I do not want to have to support a rate increase, but I believe this budget strikes a fair balance of that. So I'll be supporting the staff recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Anybody else wanting to speak on the debate on the budget? Thank you. On the debate. Speak on the budget, Councillor Lloyd. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we vote, I just wanted to make a few comments. Coming into this role, one of the biggest adjustments for me has been understanding how local government approaches budgeting on the whole. I've always approached ratepayers' money the same way I do my own. I look at every dollar and ask whether it really needs to be spent, whether there's more effective and efficient ways to get the same outcome, and whether we're being the best possible stewards of the resources that we have been entrusted with. I don't think it's because I'm naturally cautious with my money. I think it's because when you're responsible for money that isn't your own, you have an obligation to treat it with an even greater level of care. That's why I've asked so many questions throughout this budget process, not because I wanted to make it harder, but because I genuinely believe that's what our community expects of us. One thing I'd like to see next year is us spending more time asking, is there a better way before we start talking about cutting services and asking our residents to pay more? While I haven't agreed with every part of this budget, I do believe that the scrutiny from all of us as councillors has improved it, and for that reason, I will be supporting the 4% tonight. Thank you.
Councillor Lloyd, would anybody else like to speak on the budget? I am closing then, I believe. Once again, thank you all for your input, and I just wanted to reiterate that Councillor Islam, please don't let this deter you from putting further amendments up in the future. We do like that you have a sharp eye looking to see where money can be saved. Think big, think big. And thank you for putting that amendment up. Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote on the budget. Thank you, and that budget has been carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Before I close the meeting, I just want to let you know that the reason I've been looking down tonight is I do actually have a little thing now with the councillors on, so I haven't been looking down there for no reason. It's so I can see Councillor Dewhurst and Councillor Adams to make sure their pressing questions are answered accordingly. So, councillors, it is now 8:42 and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for everyone attending in the gallery. Thank you to those listening at home. Safe travels, everyone. Well done. Thank you.